From the mind of Mark Yoshimoto Nemkov.
So a friend of mine bought a Neumann M49v, and he shot an unboxing video, and he was like, here, you can play some of it, but don't play all of it, because my wife doesn't know. So I was like, okay, all right, I'll play some of it, and try not to get you killed by your wife. And so yeah, here's a little bit of that unboxing video. Wow, pretty amazing stuff, right? No, I'm just kidding here. Let me show you a little bit more of the M49v kit. This actually, all right, let me cut to what is probably the most essential part of the whole kit, right here. Yeah, that bag, I believe, is made out of simulated walrus scrotum, very soft, softer than the real thing, actually, trust me. And it's, no, I know, I'm being terrible. Let's cut to the microphone. So here, check this out. So this thing is beautiful. He sent me a clip that a voiceover he cut for a client. So since I can't play it for you, but I can describe it to you. So it just sounded like $8,500. It sounded exactly like the $8,500 it cost to buy that microphone. It was beautiful, and yeah, you listen to that sound, and you like, yeah, no, that's not a $6,000 mic. That's an $8,500 mic. Neumann hit it out of the park with the M49v. So I was skeptical about it for voiceover, but on my friend's voice, it really just it's just so creamy and luxurious, and it's like everything that you would like want. And so I will, hold on, I can play you this. There's no audio here, but if you look at the frequency, look at that. Look how beautiful that is. Look at that. So hopefully I'll have some clips to play for you later. But, this is like, I realize that this is like, my ear witness account of this is like, interviewing somebody who witnessed the Hindenburg. So, the humanity. I know. So anyway, you know what I heard? This is a hard pivot. So I heard that the UA Bach Mics aren't coming out until May at this point. So yeah, they were promised in the fall, and it's I don't know if is Stam building mics for Universal Audio. I mean, it's taken a while, and of course the David Bach being laid off from UA. I don't know if that. Maybe it sped up the process. Maybe it slowed it down. Who knows? I don't know. But yeah, May. So I've kind of, I don't know if I've really lost interest in the Bach Mics or not. But we'll see. I know when they come out, I'm sure I'll be like, ooh, Bach Mics. That's exactly what I'll do. I'll be like, ooh, Bach Mics. And feel free to turn that into a ringtone. Ooh, Bach Mics. And please don't. And what else? Oh yeah. Oh, okay. So last bit of business. I'm going to ramble on a little bit. The last thing I don't want to be like the guy who like talks constantly about the pilot. But there was a couple things I wanted to mention. So first of all, people have asked me like, oh, when can I see it? What network is it on? And the thing is, it's a pilot. So at this point, we are creating the proof of concept that will be shown to networks and streaming services and et cetera, to sell, to sell the thing. So you have to create it first. And I know a lot of times, sometimes pilots are commissioned by a network, but even in that case, nothing is guaranteed. It's very rare that a pilot gets picked up with a multi-episode pickup or anything like that. Those things happen if you're like Ryan Murphy or something. But in this case, there's a lot of resources behind this pilot. So I'm feeling really good about it. at this point, I've done everything I can do. It's out of my hands. We're supposed to. We were told that we'll see. It's going to the animators next week, so we were told that we will see stuff. Probably, like May, June. I'm guessing. So I'm very excited about that. And then what happens after that is I think they're going to look at it and reevaluate, see what works and what doesn't work. So think of it as like software. This is like the alpha, and then we'll do the beta. After that, probably tighten it up. Probably do the last 12 pages of the first script, or maybe redo it. They might be like, we have to do this. And hopefully one of the things that works is me, because when you get to this point in the process, after you win the job, it's all about keeping the job. So, yeah. So if any news comes, I will tell you. I promise. So, but there was one other thing I wanted to mention, and that was there was a moment in the process. See, when it comes to this stuff, I'm like I have ice water in my veins. I do not get stage fright, and but I got scared. I got scared for a moment, and and it's over something silly. So the whole thing. I mean, this is a new experience for me. I've never participated in a project like this at this level. And so the day before the day before the session, I get a text and it's like, hey, what would you like for lunch tomorrow? And I'm like, wow, there's no menu attached. A lot of times like when you're on a show or something like that, and they're like, oh, we're gonna order from here. Right? So it's like, oh, okay. Oh, we're gonna order from Capriati's or something, right? So it's like, yeah, I'll take the chicken Caesar sandwich or whatever. And I would never get chicken Caesar Capriati's. It's cheesesteak all the way. So yeah, onions, mushrooms, salt, pepper. Sometimes get the Wagyu. But so I'm like, it like hits me that it's like, what do you want for lunch from LA? And I'm like, I'm paralyzed by this idea of like, and so I immediately, as my defense mechanism kicks in, I immediately text back a joke. And I'm like, I'm currently only eating food sourced from Uruguay. And that's all I sent. And then I realized, like, I waited 30 seconds and then I texted back, I'm just kidding. Anything is fine. Because I'm not going to eat at this session anyway. Because eating changes the tone of my voice a little bit. And so I was like, I'm fine. I'll eat after the session. I don't need food there. And the text back, and I was fine with that. And then the text back scared me because it was like, we would have accommodated. And I'm like, oh boy, well, welcome to the NFL. So I was like, wow. And I'm like, am I taking this seriously enough? Right? The guy who had spent the previous 2 weeks drilling down on this character for hours, really getting it down. And so that leads me to the last thing I want to talk about. So, and hopefully this relates to what I spoke about in the previous video about really working on your craft and being prepared for anything. So that's landing the job. And once you get the job, a lot of times you get the job and you just repeat what you did in the audition, especially for shorter form stuff, like narrations, commercials, some shorter character work. But something like this, where it was really, there was acting involved. And I am not an actor. I'm an idiot who does funny voices. So, there's a big difference. And so what I really realized immediately was that in order to succeed at this task, I had to wear the skin, breathe the life into this character, and really have this character be part of me and me be part of this character in a symbiotic way. But part of that symbiosis requires you to leave part of yourself behind in order to become this character. And because my character was an alien who has kind of a funny accent, there was a lot involved in making sure that I was hitting all the notes properly, all the emotional, everything about this character had to feel right and authentic and real. So it's not just getting the vowels of your funny accent consistent across all your lines. It's about making sure that the emotional impact of everything you're saying is right on target. So drilling it over and over and over and over again and understanding the variations of that. And it's like if I say it like this, it sounds a little sarcastic, right? Which fits with the character. And if I say it like this, it sounds like a little bit bored and sarcastic. And if I say it like this, it sounds condescending. So finding like all the nuances within these deliveries because, you're going to go in there and you may think, "Oh, it sounds good this way." But depending upon how your fellow actor delivers their line, it may make your line more impactful to deliver it a different way than you previously thought. So going over each line and really understanding how to emote each line separately in different ways required a lot of work. And so I really allowed this character to consume part of who I am and becoming this character. And so when you see that video of me after the session where my face is all glowing, part of that is like a relief that I've taken off this suit of armor. Um, the weight of this whole thing coming off me. And it took me a couple of days to decompress off it. It's like deep sea diving. You can't come up too fast or you'll get the bends. And so it took me a couple days to return to normal, to really feel like myself again, where for after the session, there almost felt like a void, like the energy I'd focused on being in this character wasn't necessary. So even though I was still kind of like coming off of it by still doing the character, like, I'd walk around the house and I'd just like make my drink and I'd be like my hot water, my uh, raw honey and olive oil drink. And I'd like do it in my character voice, like muttering to myself. But, it's all part of this process. But what you have to understand is when you devote yourself, this is the point I'm trying to make. When you devote yourself to your craft, you have to understand that part of that is when you pour yourself into this vessel. And the vessel may just be you, but it's you as the voice person. When you pour yourself into that, you're taking away from your regular everyday self, right? You have to be a superhero, right? So you have to really become something else, and you can't let it overtake who you are. You can't let it take control, right? So you you go down the rabbit hole, and if you ever feel like you're going down the rabbit hole and you may have a little trouble getting back out, you always have to feel like you go down the rabbit hole and you snap your fingers and you're out, right? That's what you want. But if you ever feel like you're falling into this thing that you're doing, whether it's being a character or your craft or whatever, and it's consuming yourself in a way that feels like you are drifting away from land, like you're drifting out to sea, um, it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to step away. Sometimes it's actually better to step away. One of the things I did actually in the last day before the gig was I actually didn't do the character that much. I laid off it because there was part of me that was like, I don't want to go in there and feel like I'm over drilled. So I want to go back and I want to make some of these deliveries more natural and off the cuff and not so rehearsed over and over again. So it's okay to step away. It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to say to myself, "Wow, okay, I'm being too obsessive about something." And whether that's being obsessive about microphones or your craft or whatever you do, um, don't lose yourself in it. You know, immerse yourself in it, bathe in it. Just like really just soak it all in. But if you feel like you're starting to lose yourself in it, then just take a step back. And, if get on the Discord server and just say, "Hey man, who wants to chat?" So, there's a lot there's a lot to it. There's a lot to what we do. And there's a lot to what we do that I don't know if people who don't do what we do can fully understand it. So, remember, it all starts with you and it all starts here. So keep this fully you, but devote what it is that you feel when you do your work to the spirit of making yourself great. Um, that's all I gotta say. What do you think, Nation? I gotta know. All right, leave a comment. Until next time, this is Mark Yoshimoto Nemkov, fading to black.